Okay, folks, hope you guys are having a great day. Let's go ahead and get this show on the road. I think I have a whole lot to talk about before we hop into the gaming stuff. So, hope you guys are having a good day. There's like 3 of you right now, but I'm happy to have you. All right, so before I get too deep into the stream, I guess here, let's plug some books. Turn down the music, which you can get on zulonline.bandcamp.com. Yeah. All right, so newest 2 books, Al-Shafalda. This is fantasy tragedy, I guess. And it's in 5 acts. You can check it out. You know, it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but I think if you want something different from fantasy, you want something that's more old school in a lot of ways, more like Moorcock or any of those older writers, this'll probably scratch your itch. So check that one out. Of course, the newest book is actually Afterglow, Generation Y. A lot of you have already heard all of the stories, or not all of the stories, but a large portion of the stories. There's new content in here that I haven't put on the channel, but a lot of it I have put on the channel in the past. This is a collection of all of those stories and those mood pieces that I've done over the last couple of years. And I'm also going to plug one by J.D. Cowan here, Y Signal. I haven't gotten a chance to read the whole book because I've been, I don't know, surprisingly busy the last few weeks with random things. But anyway, check that out, Y Signal. This, I also recommend you can read Generation Y, The New Lost Generation, edited by J.D. Cowan. It has essays and some stories by myself and him and Brian Niemeyer. That one's free. This one is not free, but you should get it. So Y Signal by J.D. Cowan. Here is the nice cover and paperback. So check that out. Let me throw some links, I guess. I'll throw some links down into the description here, or into the chat, so you guys can check out those books if you haven't got them yet. I'm always happy to plug the books. So anyway, check it out. There's Al-Shafalda. And here is, I'll give you the free link for Generation Y. And you could just search for Y Signal by J.D. Cowan in Amazon. That's actually better because it plugs, it like makes a algorithmic record that you've searched for that book and then found it. So it actually will help a little bit if you just search it. So I don't always drop direct links to books for those of you that are authors. You could just promo the book and people can go search it. And when they find it, that actually will help your overall discoverability for your books. So it's kind of good sometimes if you can make people, if it's not too hard to search it. It's pretty easy to just go J.D. Cowan Y Signal and find his book. So you should do that. I also just don't have the sales page bookmarked, so I'm not going to go do a search for you guys, but you can do it. Likewise, if you go Afterglow by David V. Stewart, you'll probably find it. Okay. So that tends to help with some of the search results for that stuff, if you can believe it. All right. How are you guys doing today, those of you who are trying? I didn't set up the stream earlier. Usually I set it up 30 minutes in advance. I didn't do that today. I was like, oh, it's time to go. Let's go live. So, what have I been doing recently? Well, we did Sinterklaas. We did other kind of Christmas things. If you don't know what Sinterklaas is, most of you actually kind of celebrate Sinterklaas, but you do it in a non-Dutch way. So most of the stuff that you associate with Santa is actually Sinterklaas, which is the Dutch celebration of Saint Nicholas. Saint Nicholas being the Bishop of Myra, a Byzantine saint who was present at the Council of Nicaea, and according to, I guess, general hagiography, slapped Arius. He physically assaulted Arius for denying the nature of the Trinity, and supposedly was also imprisoned for a time by Constantine the Great because he had given a writ of safe conduct to Arius to come and attend the Council of Nicaea. Now, despite the Council of Nicaea being, I guess, ecumenically successful, it wasn't successful in stamping out the Arian heresy that would persist for quite a while after that. In fact, it could have been that like Arianism possibly could have taken over Christendom. So anyway, that's the Saint Nick's actually important for that. But most of the stuff you associate with Santa is actually this Dutch Sinterklaas, where he comes in, he gives gifts. You leave hay in your shoes for his horse, and he's a somewhat Odinic figure. I've said this before, and it's just a folk tradition that gets kind of bound up with Saint Nicholas's feast day. And then we've kind of transplanted that onto Santa Claus, where it's still St. Nicholas. Why is St. Nicholas associated with Christmas? Well, it's because his feast day happens to be in the same month, and therefore was part of the Advent season. And then we just kind of mushed it all together into one day. And then various Western portrayals of St. Nicholas, he went from a bishop wearing a bishop's mitre. So if you look at Dutch Sinterklaas, he'll be riding on the horse. Someone will be dressed up as a bishop with the mitre. And he comes from Spain instead of, the North Pole or something. But he comes from a foreign country to give presents to children. And I don't know why Spain, when he was originally from Asia Minor. But anyway, he comes from Spain to deliver presents for children. Somebody drew him with like a red costume, and then he got associated with being like a guy with a red costume and coming down the chimney, because Zwarte Piet goes through the chimney, right? So then Santa Claus goes through the chimney, and Zwarte Piet, Black Pete, being covered in soot from going through chimneys to do things for Santa Claus, like give presents or coal to bad children and things like that. So all the Santa stuff gets associated up with Santa Claus. We do Santa Claus on the 6th of December. We do it on St. Nick's feast day. And then just for Christmas, kind of have a second present day, because we're in the West, and so you get basically the same traditions just put onto closer to Christmas. It'll be, it's an interesting thing to think about. It's like how these traditions kind of accumulate and snowball. And one of the, I've made this point before that I don't really like Christmas or the Christmas season. It's not my favorite holiday. It's not my favorite. It's really not my favorite season. People get real busy. They get very testy. People become very bad to each other around the holidays because they're under so much stress trying to find gifts and things for people. I really dislike that. The Advent season shouldn't be this stressful time. It should be a time for remembering the incarnation of Christ. So Christ's first coming. That's what Advent season is about. So we tend to lose that, and I dislike that all of the folk traditions have really come to eclipse the actual advent of Christ. Rather than it being like a church in a holy season, it becomes really something that's about materialism. And I find that somewhat devilish, like the obsession with gifts and things like that. When I say devilish, I mean it's a way of perverting something that should be a very holy and sacred time. We pervert it by making the focus entirely about giving and receiving, especially material wealth from other people, rather than it being about charity. Because the whole point of giving gifts, like St. Nicholas giving gifts, is that that's a charitable exercise. Giving gifts to children, presumably poor children, right? Like this is an exercise in charity. But instead it becomes an exercise in self-fulfillment. I give gifts so that people will love me, and I am loved based on the kinds of gifts that I receive from others. As children, we're trained to think this way by the media. All the obsession, all the Christmas specials are all about how many presents you get, how important it is to give and receive presents. It's all about the freaking presents. It's never about Christ, and it's never about a charitable increasing your charity, increasing your almsgiving for Christmas. That's something we should really do, rather than focus on this materialistic give and receive presents thing. But it's so ubiquitous in our culture, it's almost impossible to avoid. And the times in my life where I've tried to avoid having to interact with this materialistic perversion of the Christian holiday have always harmed my relationships with others. So if I'm like, I'm not going to receive any presents this year. I did that once, and like everyone got really upset. I'm like, I'm not participating in this gift exchange thing. People got very upset that I refused to accept presents. and that I didn't give them any presents because they associate the exchange of gifts with love, and like that transactional view is not charitable at all. Charity is really about giving to people who don't deserve it, and who not only don't have but don't deserve. That's love. That's charitable love. So it's always harmed my relationships. It's like you can't check out of it. If you choose not to give someone a gift, then they get offended. And if they give you a gift and you don't like it or want it, then they're offended. Everybody's offended, like by these gifts and this gift exchange. And I've made the point, like there's a really awful argument that's out there that you need Christmas for economic reasons. This is the mammon argument for Christmas. So if you want the mammon argument for Christmas, it's that we need Christmas for economic reasons. If people didn't engage in this frenzy of buying crap in December, then our consumer economy would just be tanked, right? The economy would just would be terribly harmed if people weren't going into usury debt and stretching their resources thin in order to buy presents for each other. This is false. This is a really obvious broken window fallacy. And I see economists coming on like major TV shows, and they've been saying this for 30 years. So if you didn't spend the money on other people on Christmas, if you didn't buy them gifts, if nobody did gift exchanges, would you just burn that money? No, you would put it to other economic uses. You would invest it, which would increase the economy in total, right? And by invest it, I mean you buy capital goods, or you buy a share in a company, which then spends the money on capital goods. They invest it in, things that they use to grow a business. So you could invest it, or you could spend it on yourself. And it's actually more optimal to spend money on yourself than it is to spend money on other people. And I think a lot of companies know this, which is why they really like Christmas, because it gets you to buy things that other people don't need for other people, that they would not buy for themselves because they know they don't need those things. It increases consumer spending to like a gluttonous level. So if you're buying things for yourself, what do you do when you buy something for yourself? You consider whether you need it. You consider the value of the thing you're buying. You care about the price point, and you seek to save money on it. In other words, you seek to get it at a lower price. In other words, you're looking for the optimal economic transaction when you're buying for yourself. So it's kind of like that old adage: nobody spends another person's money as carefully as he spends his own. This is actually true. Nobody buys something for himself. Nobody buys something for someone else as carefully as he buys it for himself. So imagine that you want a guitar, right? You're going to go shopping. You're going to get the guitar that you know you want, that performs the functions that you know you need in a guitar, that has the correct pickups, the correct bridge assembly. If someone else buys you a guitar, it's going to be suboptimal, right? It's going to be a suboptimal purchase. And it's going to be suboptimal because it's going to be missing. It's maybe not going to have the right pickups. It's maybe not going to have the exact bridge you want. Maybe it won't be the color you like. So it's going to be a suboptimal purchase. And that goes all the way through the board. I would get beard trimmers and stuff for Christmas. There's nothing wrong with this. Like, hey, David has a beard. His beard trimmer is old. We'll get him a new one. Or he told me his broke. So what happens? They get me a beard trimmer. It's not the one I would pick for myself. Rather, it's a suboptimal choice. And this is nothing... my wife bought me a beard trimmer a couple years ago, and I was like, well, this one doesn't plug in. I want one that plugs into the wall. Why? Because these little battery-powered ones die after a couple years of use, and you have to throw them away and buy a new one. I don't want to keep buying new crap all the time. I want something that will sit comfortably in the drawer for whenever I need it, and that will be the end of the discussion with the beard trimmer. I want something that lasts 20 years, not something that lasts 3 years, right? The one that my wife bought me actually would still be good, and I would use it even more, but we lost the power supply for it. And it has a special power supply. Well, can't use it. Lost the power supply, lost the plug for it, right? So you're always going to end up with a suboptimal choice when buying for other people versus buying for yourself. The positive, my wife were here, she'd say like, well, the positive is it's your chance to buy something for someone they wouldn't buy for themselves. But that itself is a bit suboptimal when you think about it. Yeah, I would never splurge on this for myself. So it's an opportunity to buy something that somebody really wants, but maybe they don't want to. They just can't bear to spend their own money on it. it's still suboptimal from that perspective as well. But I get the idea. So anyway, like the fact that there's nothing wrong with giving gifts or even receiving gifts, but the fact that that has eclipsed the entirety of the Advent season is rather sad. And I saw that somebody mentioned like Christmas is really pagan. In one sense, it is. In another sense, it's really not. So it depends what you mean by pagan. Pagan means folk. It means like country bumpkin. That's its literal meaning. Pagan and heathen both mean the same things. It means like hick or country bumpkin or country person. So the pagan traditions are the folk traditions that are associated with this season. Now, when people say pagan, what they mean is like it's somehow ascribed to polytheistic pre-Christian gods. Now, there might be some truth to that, but probably not. The fact is about religious traditions and religious ceremonies and things like that is that you have to direct them towards the gods for them to actually be a thing that's associated with the gods. If somehow the Christmas tree represents Yggdrasil, who cares? It's not like the gods are, the pagan gods or the Norse gods are sitting there like, haha, they're really celebrating our mythology. It's like, who cares? Like, that doesn't matter. Nobody puts up a Christmas tree unless maybe Varg does or something, right? But like, nobody puts up a Christmas tree thinking about how it represents some part of the Norse mythological suite. They just don't think of that. It's a cedar. In fact, a Christmas tree is more Christian than it would be Yggdrasil, because Yggdrasil is an ash or a yew, which is a very different tree from a Christmas tree. A Christmas tree is an evergreen, and people associate lots of things with evergreens, but being an evergreen, it's a cedar. What was Christ's, it was Christ's temple too, but what was God's temple built out of? It was built out of the cedars of Lebanon. It was built out of evergreen trees. So the poles of the ark were cedar. So the use of cedar is very specifically mentioned in the Bible. So you decorate a cedar tree. That is actually more in the Christian tradition than thinking of the cedar tree as somehow representing a yew tree, which is the representation of Yggdrasil, the world tree, which encompasses reality or something like that and has its roots in the 9 realms or whatever you want to go. It's the same idea. So folk traditions just means like they're the traditions of the people. The people aren't doing those traditions in some sort of worship to some pantheistic god. If anything, they just kind of brought those traditions with them when they were Christians. And most of the traditions that we hold to we can't really find some pre-Christian version of them out there. We'd have to go back so far to find anything pre-Christian. We just don't have any record of it. It's like, whoa, clearly the pagans in Germany decorated trees for Yuletide or something, and then they just brought that over into Christianity. If they did, so what? But we don't really have a record of Christmas trees being decorated in like Roman times or something in Germany. It's just not there. I think the closest maybe you get is like the emperor throwing out gold coins during Saturnella, but Saturnella really postdates Christmas in a lot of ways. So it's really hard to say like these are pagan. These are pagan traditions. They're folk traditions, but the sad thing to me is when that tradition gets excised by a secular culture, which throws away the Advent season, which is the whole purpose of the feast of Advent, or, the Feast of Christmas, and the fasting period. Hey, did you know Advent was a fast? Did you know you're supposed to fast for Advent? People are like, what? I thought it was all about drinking eggnog. It's like about drinking eggnog in some days, but it's about fasting other days. Just like Lent, it's not as long or intense as Lent usually, but hey, Advent has a fast associated with it, and that eclipses the whole season. That becomes frustrating and sad for me. Anyway, dude, I did the same thing and people just can't handle it. Sorry, Aunt and Uncle, but I'm not going to use this box of Ace deodorant products ever. But quality smoked bacon, hell yeah, Merry Christmas. The Grinch did nothing wrong. I mean, the Grinch probably inspired those people. The Grinch could have inspired the people to be less materialistic. I think the way that Dr. Seuss, was really like a secular humanist, like he's not really a Christian, his whole thing was really about that the people valued it correctly, and the Grinch thought that by taking away their material possessions, it would ruin Christmas. And it didn't ruin it because they really cared. They really knew what Christmas was about, but the Grinch really didn't. And there's nothing wrong with that story in itself, but if I were to write a modern version of how the Grinch stole Christmas, the Grinch would actually ruin Christmas, but people in their poverty would turn to realize what Christmas was actually all about. In other words, the change would happen not just in the Grinch, but it would happen in the townspeople themselves. The townspeople would realize that their presents don't matter. The townspeople would realize that, like, and I think Ron Howard might have done a little of this in his Jim Carrey Grinch movie, which was awful in my opinion. But yeah, it would affect a change in the people who lost the Christmas gift. That's really what the way that I would write it. In fact, maybe I'll do a Christmas story that's like that. When your house burns down on Christmas, it's like, what a terrible Christmas because we lost our wealth. It's like, well, that might, God might have allowed that to happen so you can refocus on what matters. Or like, all our Christmas presents were stolen. That's really, that sucks. But what's Christmas about? It's about celebrating the first coming of Christ. It's about the incarnation of our Lord. It's not about presents, especially about receiving presents. You don't want to train kids to be, you want to train them to be thankful for what they get. I give presents to my children all year round just because. And it's like, I'm going to get this for you just because I love you, not because you deserve it or something like that. That's the other thing. It's like, oh, if you're a good child, you get presents. And if you're a bad child, you get coal. It's a transactional view of charity. It's anti-charitable, right? It turns the presents into some sort of transactional thing. I'm good, and therefore I receive things. And that's not what the gospel preaches at all. In fact, Christ says you're likely to suffer for him, not to be rewarded. So you do good things because they are good and they're pleasing to God, but you won't be rewarded in this life for doing good things. Prosperity theology. There's a kind of prosperity theology in Christmas. Maybe Christmas informs prosperity theology, the belief that if you do good and you're charitable, then you will receive good things. Sorry, but I don't think it works that way, folks. You're going to set yourself up for some big disappointment when the transaction doesn't work out for you. Agreed. I thought the evergreen tree was something chosen by Christian priest monks to replace pagan yew or oak. Yeah, if you're reading the Norse myths, if you're reading Snorri Sturluson, often it's translated as an ash tree, but that's not correct. They called it a needle ash, and I have a book called Needle Ash. The needle ash is a yew. A yew is an evergreen tree, but it is not a cedar tree. All right, the yew is an evergreen tree, but it's not a cedar tree. And the yew grows very differently. It branches out like an oak. And oaks are also considered sacred in certain, the oak groves in certain, certain ancient religions. The other thing about some ancient religions like Druids and stuff, we don't really know what they believed because they didn't write it down for us to read later. We just kind of have secondhand accounts of maybe some Roman who encountered them and thought about and wrote down what they did maybe, but we don't really know what the Druidic religion was. Likewise, when our ancestors abandoned pagan ritual, remember the religion is something you live. It's not the mythology. So the stories that you read from Snorri Sturluson or Ovid, if you're going with classical mythology, these are stories. They're myths, but they're not the religion. The religion of Rome was a thing that was practiced. There was a certain set of prayers. There was a certain set of rituals and rites that were performed. Certain kinds of sacrifices. You would do things in certain orders in order to go receive omens from the gods in the form of auspices, which you're not supposed to do auspices, by the way, if you're Christian. Depending on what tradition you hold to, but if you're going by the ancient traditions, no auspices. But to do those different sorts of rites, that's what the religion was. But we have lost those. We stopped performing them, and in a lot of cases we don't know what they were because they were passed down via oral tradition. And in some cases you had family religions. So you'd have a state religion of Rome, and we have pretty decent records of a lot of the state religion of Rome that been recorded by various histories and first-hand accounts, second-hand accounts. Kind of, in some cases, secondarily, they mention it and mention how it was done. Not that they wrote a guide for how to do it, but we can kind of piece it together, or historians have, I should say. But the family religions, which are the secret religions of the people who lived during that time, are a mystery to us, because when they abandoned the old gods, the rites ceased to exist and the knowledge of them ceased to be transmitted as well. So the secret religions of Greek families, which you had your own family gods and you had your own family rites and your own family religions, and as the patriarch you were bound to pass those on, which also is why women were so sequestered, is that it would be a great perversion to have a child that wasn't yours perform the family religion. Like the blood mattered a lot, the male blood. So if a woman was to beget a child by another man, that was like a serious offense. Anyway, so that's part of it. So those things were lost. So a lot of the pagan religion that you see now is a revival, is mostly, I don't want to, I'm going to say made up, but it is constructed. It's not a tradition that's been passed down orally unbroken. It's something that they've kind of remade into a new religion. It's not the same as the ancient family religions of our pagan ancestors. It's not the same as the druidic. There's people who go do druidic stuff at Stonehenge. It's just kind of made up rites. We don't really know what the Druids did at all. So anyway, that's kind of a long-winded way to say, like, pagan Christmas, yeah, maybe, but not really, because nobody's doing this as some sort of exaltation of the gods, nor do I believe it would really offend God that you decorated a tree for Christmas and that some ancient people thought trees were sacred. God made the trees. Trees exist to God's glory all on their own. So yeah, you can decorate them. And then God's house was made of cedar. So we can decorate a cedar tree. Why not? It's what it matters to you. The intent actually matters behind religious ceremony. It's not a magic spell where you do it and accidentally things happen. You have to intend to do it because you're asking for a deity to do something for you. So you can't accidentally perform a rite that makes God do something, right? God does things of his own will, and you can pray for him and ask him to do things, but that intent matters. It's not like a magic spell or a machine that creates automatic things. Putting up a Christmas tree, even if some pagan dedicated it to Tyr or something, doesn't matter because you're not praying to Tyr. What Christmas was all about. People always say this, like, we all knew what they were talking about, but I was asked, so what is it all about? Family? Jesus? No one finished the sentence. Yeah, it's about what Christmas is all about. Yeah, well, what is it all about? It should be about fasting and repentance. Celebrating the first coming of Christ, looking forward to the second coming of Christ. Remembering his incarnation, and then remembering his sacrifice and his ultimate victory, right? We tend to pull these things out kind of ad hoc. It's just a tendency in our culture to do these sorts of things. All right, let's go ahead and, that's a pretty long rant. Let's go ahead and play a little bit. I watched A Christmas Carol last night, the one with George C. Scott. I used to watch it as a kid. It's a beautiful film. Love the authority of the three spirits. Yeah, the Christmas Carol I like because it's much more about how you live your life. It's more about how you live your life, not about... Really, Christmas Carol predates a lot of our materialist obsession with Christmas, but it's really about how you live your life. It's about the Advent being a season to reflect on one's own works and doings and spiritual relationships. So I like it. There's also a great power metal album by Majestica, who I've reviewed on the channel before, called A Christmas Carol. It's actually quite entertaining and good. It's one of my son's favorite albums. He likes to listen to it a lot. And it's got a cool cover, too. And I think they did a bunch of music videos for it, too, where they had, like, Ebenezer Scrooge and stuff like that. Love your new book, Ashwagandha. I should write one called Ashwagandha. Ashwagandha. Sounds cool. Ashwagandha is another... It sounds like a lost African country. Like Wakanda. Ashwagandha. Alright. Let me get out my Vita. I have been playing World of Warcraft, so that was the other thing I was gonna talk about. We'll talk as we play. I think World of Warcraft can be kind of boring to stream unless you guys are really into World of Warcraft. So the new expansion, what do you want me to say about the new expansion? Is it good? Is it bad? Well, it really depends. It really depends what you're looking for. The story is not good, and the quests. I can talk at length about what that means in the terms of the story. Like, WoW's story has never been very good as a story, especially after playing Final Fantasy XIV. It's just, for the most part, bad. Like their attempt to do entire stories. In this case, the story is really thin and flimsy, and there's very little of it. And instead, it's just very boring quest text and kind of things haphazardly strung together into sort of a story sequence. We don't really know what the entire conflict is about. There's like some primal dragons that have come back, I guess. And maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. Like Pandaria didn't have like a big bad at the end, but you got very immersed into a foreign place. You don't feel that with Dragon Isles. It's just kind of bland as far as story goes. But the gameplay is better than it has been. They brought back talent trees, which is great. I've had a lot of fun playing that. I've been playing my warrior, and so like, you know, the fact that I can come up with a single-minded fury spec, which is really fun to play. I think that's definitely like a big positive for me, at least. What else is there to say about it? So the story's not good. There's also like gay couples everywhere. They like ham-fisted in all of the gay ideology. It's really funny, actually. It comes off as like a very silly exercise in general. So like there's these gay Mongolian centaurs that are just hilarious. It just comes off as silly, like campy. Someone said it comes off as campy. And I'm like, yeah, I can totally see that. It comes off as like a campy kind of experience. There's also like, you know, Chromie is trans or something. And that comes off as kind of silly and like pointless. Of course, they had like a trans character in the last one become like the head of the afterlife or something. It's all Gnostic garbage. And they haven't really, it's clear to me the writers haven't really considered anything of what they're doing. It's not for kids, so I'm not going to object to it in like a sense like, oh, you know, they shouldn't do this. It's like, it's for adults, so I guess you could put it in there. If it was like, if they put it in a Sonic game, I'd be a lot more upset about it, I guess. But it mostly just comes off as silly. It doesn't come off as like, you know, makes me really think, or I feel like, you know, trans or gay people are being super included. It just comes off as like a silly kind of silly pandering to people. You're finally here. We're gonna split into two. You do whatever you want, but don't endanger Elena. Don't worry, we won't do anything to that girl, Yuffie. For now. Does it feel like World of Warcraft? Yes. It was mostly meaningless. It's mostly meaningless. Most people don't even read the quest text, so a lot of people aren't even going to notice it because they don't read the quest text. And they don't read the quest text because the game trains you not to read it. You don't have to read it to do the quests. And in general, the quest text is awful to read anyway. It's some of the worst writing. Certainly some of the worst writing in World of Warcraft's history, in my opinion. You know, you can have different opinions, but like, what made WoW's writing good in the old days was that you had to read the quest text. You got involved with every little story. It wasn't the story. It was a bunch of little stories. It was your story. So the writing in the past used to be just way better than it is today. Wait, hold on. What was that back there? Is there something over there? Oh, this guy. Talk to him. ... Cool backgrounds. Like there's so many gay couples, and you don't stop and think like, oh, these are people that have been fighting a generations-long race war, and they're very okay with homosexuality. It just seems silly. It just comes off as silly. They're so progressive and accepting, except if they're orcs. Except that they're filthy orcs who are also very accepting of homosexual relationships. And the Mongolian centaurs are very okay with other Mongolian centaurs having however centaurs have gay sex. Like it's anti-immersive in a lot of senses, because WoW is kind of a pre-modern world, is the idea, you know? Oh, I think I need to switch out. I think I need Barrett for this boss, if I remember right. I need to go fix that. Yeah, woke writing is bad, and I went over this, like, why forced diversity sucks. And the reason is because it always comes at the expense of the story. You hammer-fist it in. You make a point of doing it rather than having it be part of the story. Because in most stories, like, those social issues are just not necessary for a story to function. If you're writing the story from a ground up for those social issues, it's probably okay. Not everyone's going to want to read it, but whatever. No big deal. But World of Warcraft is not like a story about the struggle of trans people to realize their true selves or something like that. World of Warcraft is itself a Gnostic fantasy. You're pretending to be a character who you aren't. Don't fool around. You know the enemy's going to wait for us, right? I think we need a Barrett because he has Mind Blast. Hopefully I unlock Mind Blast. Yeah, so you just put a gay couple in the World of Warcraft, and everybody's cool with it. It's just weird. Spaz voice. Spaz voice. I haven't read Wandering Sheriff yet. But Jared's often dropping by, so I should probably read his book. Switch out my party. I'm going to do that here. Oh, I did it again. Let's get Barrett in here. Alright, limit. Joan of Arc is probably my favorite historical figure. I wrote a biopic about her. Do you think there's any good place to market that story? Amazon. If you're talking about like a book. Mark Twain wrote a book about Joan of Arc. I'm going to... I think I can buy some items here. I'm gonna buy like some high potions and stuff because you're gonna need them. I 50 is probably enough. Phoenix down, either. We can buy some of these, I think. He even called a kid to read his Joan of Arc book instead of Sawyer and Huckleberry. I wonder what changed. I don't know. People don't usually read it because they don't consider it good, I guess, or like historically interesting. I'm not sure. Maybe different standards for the time than we have today for that kind of book. That certainly is possible as well. I need to check. I don't think I have Barrett's best weapon equipped too. I think he's got like a bad weapon. Yeah. Figure it out real quick. I'd like to hear your take on feminists since their movement seems to grow rapidly. It's not growing rapidly. What could be done to prevent it, or is it best to just ignore them? Well, I mean, you have to. I mean, like, what do you want to? What do you mean fight feminism? Like, what does fighting feminism mean? Ideologically, you promote what's correct. You don't worry about, you know, feminists per se. You just promote what is correct, and that's all you have to worry about. You just promote the truth. I don't think it's fast growing at all. I think you're just looking at a very, you're looking at the end of a very long chain of events that has sort of ended with where we are now with feminism. I don't think it's growing. I think it's, you know, to a certain extent, I don't want to say it's peaked, but, you know, we're at the peak of what it, the zenith of that being functional. But it's a self-destructive philosophy because feminism is being destroyed by trans ideology, even as we speak. Which is why you have people like Enemy Launcher, Drill Arm, Growth, Normal, Double. Alright, we'll put on the Drill Arm, and then we'll let's see what we got here. I'm gonna throw Vass, Eden Coat. Oh, that's a good one. What do I have here? Gold Armlet or Power Wrist? You don't need that. I guess firing? I don't know. The drill arm. Yeah, it's really that the feminist, the women's liberation movement has kind of crested and then been undone by, you know, the Gnostic heresy of trans identity. You all thought they might be here too, huh? Were we way off? There's no way they could get that far. Oh no, grass is attacking! Joan of Arc's an interesting story because she's been called everything. Schizo, heretic, saint, feminist, non-binary, and myth. What do you think of the idea of there being different traditions of fantasy literature? It's true. But tradition is a big word for something that's only like 100 years old. So it's not incorrect. And there are different traditions. There's different strains of it. It's where the emphasis is. I'd say modern fantasy has a strong emphasis on Dungeons and Dragons like world building and magic systems that is just not present. I'd say that the main strains are really like Lord Dunsany to Tolkien, that kind of mythic use of fantasy versus which are fairy stories versus something like Moorcock, which is more humanist in a sense. It's more about using the fantasy as a different kind of vehicle, about adventure. And then there's Robert E. Howard, like the Robert E. Howard adventure vehicle versus the Lord Dunsany fairy story. Those are like the two older strains. And then the modern one, which is Dungeons and Dragons, but as a book. That's like Michael Moorcock. Something to find back here. I think we already came this way. I think we're supposed to go in the cave. I was just wondering if there were any like little chests to find, but I guess not. Yeah, I wouldn't say feminism's growing. I'd say it's, as far as its actual like ideological influence, I think it's in some ways reached its zenith. And we're kind of looking at, I don't know what to call it, it's some transformation to something else. All the people who are going to identify as feminists, I don't think we're going to get like lots more of them showing up, I guess is my point. Which strain of I like all fantasy literature. I even like the new stuff to an extent. I mean, I like Brandon Sanderson stuff less than Michael Moorcock and Robert E. Howard and Tolkien. And Poul Anderson, but not to say I don't dislike them. Dragonlance. I think I'm going to switch to the enemy launcher. Long range weapon. Oh, we got some fire here. Whoa! Can't go through here. That flame would make crispy critters of us in an instant. I just finished the Mistborn trilogy a couple months ago. Enjoyed it quite a bit. Yeah, it's okay. I think book 2 is really boring. It's probably my least favorite of those books. First book's good. It can drag a little bit. Like spending all this time explaining allomancy. It's not my favorite, but he does it in a pretty clever way that I think works just fine. Women trying to get pregnant from their own bone marrow? Surely we will live to see man-made horrors beyond our comprehension. Sanderson really does make excellent book ones. His book ones are really good. Like, it's kind of funny looking at Stormlight Archive. You have the best book one he's ever written, and maybe the best one I've read. And then you have... like the worst book 2 I've ever read, and the worst book 3 I think I've ever read. I couldn't even really tell you what happens in Oathbringer. Like, it's just a blur. Like, I remember Words of Radiance because it was, it had at least had a conclusion where like some things happened. But wow, like, Oathbringer was slow, and full of unlikable characters. By book 3, you hate pretty much every character. Like, I can't think of a single character, even Kaladin, I disliked by the end of book 2. And, yeah, I pretty much hated all the characters by the end of book 3. So the re-explaining of allomancy, yeah, it gets a little bit much, but I think this is part of traditional publishing. I can't even use my NP in this section, so. But, you know, where I think it gets a little bit annoying. Oh, there they are. Let me go! Anyway, with traditional publishing, you have to put that stuff in there because there's a belief that people will buy book 2 at the airport without reading book 1. That you have some percentage of readers who just jump in on book 2 and they don't really care. So you have to explain it to them. You see it in Robert Jordan is famous like for repeating things because, you know, the publisher's like, you have to explain this or people are going to be confused. Like, what's in another book? It's like, doesn't matter. This may be the first book that people read of the series. So you have to put that stuff in there. Even J.K. Rowling does it. It's like, do you guys remember this happened in book 2? Yeah, where we read it. It's like, well, someone might just be starting in book 5. We don't know. Delicious. Scrumptious. I think I found a new hobby. Which shall it be? Should I go with her? Hey, I'm one of the Turks. Don't think you can get away with this. Or maybe her. Oh, God, if I knew this was going to happen, I would have just taken rope escape lessons more seriously. I made my choice. My companion for the night will be the cheerful one. Grossness! Don't mess with me, old man. You don't even have any materia. Oh, and she's saucy too. Wee wee. Alright, that's it. Hey, what's going on? Who's there? Unlikable characters are the most unforgivable sin in writing. If I'm rooting against the main cast, something has gone horribly wrong. I think Malazan's the only series that comes to mind where the first book isn't the strongest. Yeah, that's a good one. I like the first book a lot, though. Oh man, Cloud. Whee! Long time no see. Don't tell me you forgot. You damn Midgar hyena! I don't care what you're doing, so much as the idiotic way you're doing it. Be quiet. None of you know how much I've suffered since then. It's a long story, but... I don't really care. Let Yuffie and Elena go. You guys are serious. Good. This ain't no time for me to be fooling around either. Oh, why did you kill my little apps? I'm gonna make you play with my new pet so you won't get in the way of my search for a bride. I resemble your comments on Oathbringer book. It's the one where I stopped reading the series. Still have my good bookmark in that book, but I don't care to finish it because it's boring. Raps, come here. Yeah, it's... I don't even remember what happens. Like, I'll have to stop and think about it. Arrow 3. Yeah, we gotta go with that. He's dead. Yeah. We should have done a little save there, because we're definitely gonna die here. What? He Phoenix downed himself? Oh my god! It looked like it was pointing to Cloud. Oh, that is so annoying. Honestly, I'm struggling to get through Wave Kings, and by the sounds of how the series goes from you guys, maybe I should just stop now. Just let this go for a while. I thought Wave Kings was really good. Personally. Game over. Yeah, I think I know the strat that I need to do here. I could have recovered if, like, the Phoenix Down had actually gone off. You know? Anyway. $22.28. Alright, we'll try again. A lot of defense. Magic defense is what we really need. Tempted to put that on Cloud. But he already has a really good one. Just make that one much better. We'll put it on him. And that's fine. Alright. That'll work. Another book 2 severe drop off is Name of the Wind. Name of the Wind was terrible. I mean, the first book was awful. I mean, I can't imagine how much worse the second book would be. If there's a big drop off. I heard there's a big drop off, which is saying something because the first book is nearly unreadable. And book 3 is never coming because Patrick Rothfuss is a lazy piece of shit. Just like George R.R. Martin. It's like unexpected success. If it hadn't been like a random success to that first book, like he never would have finished probably book 2. He never would have bothered to finish the series ever because no one wants it. I think we can use these. So let's buy like 10 of those. Why not? We'll try it out. Let's see what we can do here. We want to have like Barrett's limit break like ready to go. Takes 650 pages to tell us Quothe literal had sex good. Like whenever I read it, you know, the first book feels like somebody who's never had sex is writing a book about sex. Do you know what I mean? Like it comes off as like 15-year-old sex fantasies. Not like in the worst possible way I could describe that. Arguably, George R.R. Martin isn't ever going to finish the series, so he's good at distracting himself with side projects and other stuff. Yeah. There's an old stream I found where you say the N-word. I did it in a Final Fantasy stream because it was in Final Fantasy 6. Can you tell your thoughts on Ready Player One? I hate it, and I think it's awful. It's like a ripoff of actual good cyberpunk stuff, but done with nothing but pop culture references. It's like the ultimate, like, Gen Y garbage fest. I hate it. I intensely dislike it. Luckily, everybody's going to completely forget about it, and, like, they've already forgotten about it. No one's going to really remember it at all in, like, 5 or 10 years. You know, what was this? They're going to remember it as, like, less than they remember Logan's Run from the 70s. I'm not sure. Can anyone even use this Dragon Lance? I don't think he can use it. Oh yeah, we want to get the enemy launcher. We want the Yoshiyuki. As a black guy, I grant you pardon for any use of the N-word. It was in Final Fantasy. Hold on, I'm going to make a little save state. I kind of don't want to get it to 2 and 4 because these are like right before the boss. Do this one. Oops. Overwrite the state. People are getting canceled and worse for singing rap songs while white. Who shall it be? Should I go with her? George R.R. Martin has really been able, really been able to capitalize off the success of his adaptations and side projects. I don't think he'll ever finish. Why? Yeah, why? There's like not gonna be any upside to finishing. People are gonna hate it. I mean, I would do it just because I feel like I owe it to people, but maybe he will. I don't know. So I don't have the I meant to queue up the limit break for Barrett. So we'll see if we could survive long enough to do the limit break. Because if you can get rid of his mana, then he can't hit you with that arrow 3 or whatever he's doing all the time. We'll try it again. I think I messed up again though. Yeah. There's a lot of people that have to load old saves because, like, this boss is impossible. Ah, I hit the wrong person! Like the third time I've done this. Yeah, we may not be able to actually beat this boss. I have a X potion in here somewhere. He's dead. We'll just do Phoenix down again. Mind blow. Yeah, we really got to queue up Mind Blow like before the fight starts. Then he'll just hit with physical attacks. I think. Item. Let's go Phoenix down on. Potion. Well, let's go ahead and get what's his face up. Gotta have it. We'll just use that. Ah, it's dead again. Yeah, I think this will be like doable if I can get Barrett's limit break queued up beforehand. Then it's not going to be so bad. Yeah. It's okay. We'll have to reload a save. Because, it's alright. The cloud hits pretty hard. I think we could do it, but we're going to have to reload the save and do all that stuff again. Very annoying. This is like one of the hardest bosses in the game, by the way. It's funny people use diametrically opposed language like black and white to describe appearance when no one has actually those colors. It's true. There's a point to that, right? So it's like brown and like pink people. Brown and beige people? Brown, beige, and pink. Whatever color you are. Have you done any medieval RPG style game music? I have. I did music for a Shakespearean play once, too. That was medieval. It's like medieval lute music. I think we're going to have to buy a couple of those. I think these fire bells work really good, so I'm going to buy like 10 of those, and we're going to use those. Yeah, we have to have Mind Blow like queued up and everybody at full health. So we just kind of have to grind a little bit here, like just fight some monsters and stuff, so we get Barrett's limit all the way up. Then it should be like no problem. Yeah, I have everybody's limits ready to go before the boss. That's a good idea. I did it again. Sorry. I went to go right. I went down. Wasting time again. Wasting time again. Sorry. I can do this. It's gonna be quicker to. It's gonna be quicker to quit the game. It's gonna be quicker to quit the game, so. Have 137 free gigabytes on the memory stick. There's a bunch of PS1 games on here. There it is. It's so hot today. It's 80 degrees outside right now. 80. People who live here are like, this is really unseasonably warm. It's usually only 60. I'm like, okay. Well, I'm in here sweating in this leather chair. I'm used to like some cold for December. The dog is always barking. I'm really sorry. I'm sorry that she's always barking. She never stops. She's always barking at something. It's like a squirrel outside or a car drove by, and there's no amount of things we can do to make her stop doing it. We've been trying for like 10 years. I'm gonna buy these and use these, I think. Snowed here for the first time in Central Europe today. Sweet. I don't think we're going to get any snow. I don't think that's going to happen. We'll just go like trigger this. Let's go back and forth here. There we go. Alright, almost got Barrett's limit up here. Look at these crazy guys. There we go. Yeah, search your items by type. That's a good idea. So that way we have the X potions at the top. There we go. High potion, X potion. There we go. Now we can use those X potions. Yeah, good idea. Heal up. We'll grab the Dragon Lance real quick and heal up. First performance of the year. Hope you have enough stamina. Well, good luck. Or break a leg or whatever it is. Ow. Hey Stu, we're going to get that cat carry review from the Texas Food. Did I miss a bit? Oh, I should review it. Yeah, they were good. They're actually really good, except when trying to put 3 of them together, my cats figured out how to pull them apart and get out and like roam around, like jump around the car while it was driving 80 miles an hour. But the good ones worked really well. Wraps. All right, here we go. Where is that fire veil? $3,000 damage, not bad. Oh, that didn't hit that hard at all. Just like that. All right. Well, I ended up with a bunch of fire veils I didn't need. Oh well. Wait! Just wait a second. Shut up. Just listen to me. It won't take long. Why do you think a bad guy like me would swallow his pride and plead for his life? 1, because he's ready to die. 2, because he's sure to win. 3, because he's clueless. Close but no cigar. Yeah! Makes me so mad. If I push this button, they'll fall upside down and we'll have a squashed tomatoes. Damn. Damn dirty playing, what up? Haha, guess I'm the one laughing last. No, that would be us. Hey, what's going on? Who's there? The Turks. You knew this is going to happen ever since you leaked that secret. We're going to take care of you, personally. Damn it. Then they're all going with me. Ugh. Good timing, Rude. Let's get to work. Alright, Corneo, this will be over quick, so listen up. Why do you think we went to all the trouble of teaming up with those guys to get you? Number two? All wrong. No, wait, stop. That's cold-blooded. The correct answer was... because it's our job. Well, thank you very much. I never expected you'd come to help. Elena, don't act so weak. You're a Turks. You're a Turks. You're a Turks. Yes, sir. Never thought you'd come and help us. Yes, this is Reno. Yes, I'll get on it right away. Is that the company? Yeah, they want us to find Cloud. Are we on? No, today we're off duty. Hey, who cares about that? Get me down! Phew, perfect. Now the materia is back in its rightful place. Hey, the placement of it is all messed up. Huh? Oh, it'll be alright. Don't be so picky. Anyways, that sure was close. No, normally I would kick their butts. Boom, bang! That Corneo guy's a real pain. I'd rather deal with my dad than deal with that guy. By the way, some of those guys from the Turks are good, huh? At least after all that, we've got the materia back. Now come on, everybody, let's continue our journey. Hey, but wait! Oh, alright, here, I'll give this to you guys. Here, look! Received MP absorb materia. Come on, wait! No matter what anyone says, I'm going with you. Next time. Yeah, I think all our materia is, like, completely mixed up. It should be just like a remove all. You know? I want to get this all sorted out here. I'm not sure who I want in the party right now. In which country would you live if you couldn't live in the USA? I don't know. If you hit the menu button on them, they unequip themselves? Oh, that would be good to know. Do Sid, Yuffie. I don't know who to put in the party now. Use Sid. I haven't used him yet. Oh, he has the dragon lance. That's pretty good. Gold armlet. That's really good. Oh, you know what I forgot? I'm gonna take this item off of him because it's too good. Let's put someone else in here. I really like Vincent, but I'm not sure who like the best to have in is, really, you know? We'll do Vincent for a while just because it's a little different. Alright. That enemy skill? All. Want fire. Want. Recover. Want counterattack. If that does anything. This is pretty boring. Ryan Niemeyer, what's up? Elemental. And let's do lightning. Store magic. No, we actually want restore. Is it restore? Heal. And have better heal. Wait, is it restore magic? I think it is restore, not heal. I think heal does something different. Heal all. Oh yeah, look at this. We can have all kinds of stuff here. We can do just have a bunch of stuff here. All. Another fire. Let's do ice. Steal. Manipulate. HP plus. Store. Shiva. Put in some of these. I never use the summons usually. Barely ever use them. Mystify. I don't know. Have another all would be good. Destruct. wonder if you can do double elemental magic. That'd be interesting. Effect. Poison. All and restore. Heal gravity. Whatever. It's good. Thoughts on Eastern Orthodox Christianity? I'll talk about it some other time in more depth. The tendency tends to be to group all, either look at Orthodoxy as a bunch of separate churches or as a completely unified single church, and it's somewhere between the two. Seems like it's getting a slight uptick in popularity currently. Well, I mean, there's like an online orthobro phenomenon that I'm not a big fan of. Other people have talked about it, you know. I feel like some of the online orthobros are just like really annoying personalities, like Jay Dyer. And that's not necessarily what orthodoxy is, right? Like any religion, it's a lived experience. Getting ready for an RPG playtest right now, so don't mind me a little quiet. Sweet. People do make some of the same mistakes with Catholicism. Is like they assume the online Catholic bros are like what Catholicism is. You know, that it's like especially like the Catholic trad people. You know, I haven't kept up with Taylor Marshall. I don't know if he went full like Sedevacantist or not. But like they assume it's people like Taylor Marshall, that it's all this kind of legalistic fighting, and it's not really that with the Catholic side either. You can also just say, don't assume that online is what real life is. Or, well, assume real life is what, you know. You shouldn't assume that the online conversations are indicative of real life. And if you want to go, you can go to... Oh, that healed him. Okay. Oh, because these guys are like lightning elemental. Okay. Oh. Cloud died. Both camps have a high quotient of extremely online weirdos. If people need to get out. And anyway, you can go to a church, right? Like if you're curious about like what is, what's orthodoxy about, go to a church. And there's a lot of infighting within, especially online camps. I've noticed that there's like this, this extreme dislike of the archdiocese, the Greek archdiocese, the Archdiocese of Constantinople. I think because like some of their clergy have made like leftist leaning statements, and it's kind of like the Francis, what did Brian call it? Francis derangement syndrome, right? which is like people assume the media is reporting something correctly about what Francis said or believes or didn't say or doesn't believe, when they will quite clearly know that the media is lying about everything else. They'll believe whatever scandalous thing about Pope Francis the rags happen to come out with. It becomes, quite tiresome to deal with. And like I said, a religion is a lived experience. So even if Pope Francis said some kind of heretical statement that doesn't invalidate the church, right? That's happened before. There have been many papal controversies, actually. Although people tend to not remember them all that well. There was here's the chocobos. I guess I could get a chocobo and ride it back to my little thing here. I think I missed a turn. Oh yeah, I gotta go back up this way, get back to the boat. Oi! Pope Francis saying something you don't agree with doesn't negate thousands of years of tradition, guys. It doesn't work that way. There was a time where the papacy was in France. The papal schism of the 1300s, I think, is when it was. Where there was popes and anti-popes, anti-pope in Rome and a pope in France, and then a pope in Rome and an anti-pope in France. And yet the church survived that. So, guys, we're dealing with a very small time frames. Because our lives are short, we tend to think of events as being short, and that is not the case. For 90% of church history, the faithful had no idea what the Holy Father was up to, and they were better off. Yeah, because it's a holistic thing. There tends to be this focus on the Pope, and because we now have access to what the Pope is saying or thinking or doing at any given time, and that's just not been the case throughout human history, nor did it really matter to them. I forgot to put counterattack on Cloud's bars there. Yeah, short-term memory outrage. One of the things you have to think about too is what is, has living the faith somehow changed? And these little lightning birds hit really hard. Vincent's actually a bad choice of healer because of his limit break. So I might change this party around a little bit. Change who's there. Right. See, Kai, you're engaging in a certain kind of binary thought, which is it matters what bishops say, but it doesn't change how you live the faith. Right? It doesn't change the religion. So if some bishop says something heretical, that's part of church politics to ferret that out. You as a layman don't need to worry about that unless he's your bishop, and then it's a little more concerning. Right? Nor does it change you. Like, it doesn't invalidate 2,000 years of tradition. So people are worried that somehow Francis will say something heretical and then all of a sudden the church will be destroyed and completely changed. I don't know. It's never happened. That's never really happened. Right? So the limitations on the Novus Ordo, I can't tell you all the details because I haven't paid attention to every detail, but it's not that the Novus Ordo was banned. It was that you can't, I think it's that you can't open new parishes, not the Novus Ordo, the Latin Mass. It's not that the Latin Mass is banned, but you can't open new parishes with the Latin Mass. And then there's like the controversy over the Society of St. Pius X, and whether that's a schismatic group or not. But that's all church politics. I don't have that's for clergy to work out and give opinions on. I don't really have good opinions for that. Wow, look at that. That is very strong. 113. The carbon bangle. Eden coat. That on. No, I can't do that. Let's actually change that. We don't really want that carbon bangle. So we can have restore and all. Nice all. Fire all. Enemy skill. Let's do absorb. That's pretty cool. We'll do it like that. Right, cover and counterattack. Got a bunch of this stuff. Any other ones we should do? Poison and all. Why not? I have 3 all magics? I guess I do. Cool. I don't know what that'll do, so we'll just put it on there and see what happens. I have steel. Seal. Alright, we'll try that. Not until a Pope or Ecumenical Council issued a solemn dogmatic definition that bound all the faithful to some error on a matter of faith and morals. There you go. So what do you think of the story of Final Fantasy VII is? They say it's fantasy, but it's not like Tolkien stuff. Yeah, fantasy just... Remember, science fiction is like a subcategory of fantasy. So, yeah, it's fantasy. Science fiction is a subcategory of fantasy. Fantasy means not real. That's all it means. It means fantastical. So science fiction is fantasy. But in the 20th century, they started creating genre definitions that tried to hem things into one little area or another. I'm not sure where I need to go now. I'm going to look it up because I just don't want to waste time on stream. Alright. Got this, stole my materia, we already did that. Well, I'm almost out of time here anyway, but it'd be good to know where I'm going. Alright, I think we have to go back to the gold saucer. So, I'm not sure how to, like, the easy way to get back there. Not sure if it's this. that it over there? Right, it's over this way, I think. Get this over here so I can see it. Yeah, I think we have to get this item at the gold saucer to go into the temple. All right, we did all this. Okay. Going the right way, that's the question. Yeah, I think you can just go straight to the gold saucer though, because you have to get something from the gold saucer to even get into the temple. Actually, I know how to set this up. Pull her. No. Pull Vincent back in. Equip. Let's pull this off. And pull her back in. Gold armlet. Like this. Doesn't matter really. Let's do. All sealed? No, we want. Doesn't matter what we do here. We can do Earth and absorb MP. Do this. Where is it? Yep. All ice, poison, fire. Poison. Dude, let's go. Alright, that's good. Take it easy, Brian. I think I was going the wrong way to get to the town. We gotta go this way. Sand gun. Oh, death blow's good. You're right. Death blow is really good. I should put that one on there. I wonder if you can do like death blow all. That'd be interesting. We can try it. I don't think it works though. Do ice. There we go. Go through the water. Sure, I'm going the right way. Now I'm about out of time. So I should really peace out and get to some other things. There it is. Is that it? Or is that Rocket Town? Check a map. I think Corral's on the other side. Maybe go around it this way. Oh, I don't think we can. Is this the correct way? I'm not sure how to get to the gold saucer with this boat. That's the problem. Maybe I have to go like all the way around the island. I'm not sure. There we go. Nope. Go south, then east. Oh, I should try going through the river. I just don't want to like waste time like going through the continent. I'm going around this way. We're going to try it. I think this will take us here. Right? Maybe? Oh no! No, I think I'm going to attack my own guy. Yeah. Thanks, Cloud. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to call it. I think we're about done here. And we'll pick it up next time and do the temple. I'm going to try to maybe do a stream during the week. I need to pick that back up again. I appreciate all the conversations. I'll relink the books. Tragic Fantasy, Gen Y, J.D. Cowan's free book, and you should also check out Y Signal. You should also check out Y Signal because it's cool. And oh, thank you for the super chat, David. I wanted your advice on book stuff, so I sent you a message with the question on Twitter. If you can get back to me ASAP because it's time sensitive. Okay, I'll take a look. Thank you. I appreciate it, guys. Have a great one, and I'll see you all next time. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, I guess. Whatever. Have a great one, and check out J.D. Cowan's new book, and we'll see you all next time.